It's King Noble Black Supremacy. And with this particular video, I want to tackle the question of when you die, does this realm continue to exist? Does this life on this realm continue to go on? Or is it just a manifestation of your observation that when you die, this realm disappears? Well, first of all, I'm just going to go with the presumption that after you die, it no longer exists. Let's just accept that. And if that's true, that's really what you believe, then why would you be here to teach? To wake people up? Because this is a state of sleep. And these people in your sleep are just characters that do not really exist. They just exist in your dream state. So how do you wake somebody up that you're dreaming about? And them being asleep, them being unawoken is an observation that you made. So their sleep state is a manifestation of nothing but your observation. And if the observer is so powerful, then you can change your observation and make them all awake instantaneously. And them being asleep would no longer exist, because you can just, through the power of your mind and consciousness, just make another observation, since this realm is just simply a manifestation of your observation. How could you care about the sleep if they only exist in your state of sleep, in your dream? How can you have compassion? Why do you care if this is just a dream that will no longer exist after you die? If you really believe that, I gotta ask you those questions. Because if it's all a dream and an observation that will cease to be after you make a transition from this plane, then that's not too much to worry about. It's not something that you need to care about. And if you care about it that much, then the quickest way to change it is not to change the sleep people, not to change the planet, not to wake people up, not to teach. The quickest way to change it is to change your observation. Now, that's just under the presumption that this realm no longer exists after you die. But now let me give you another perspective, just in case that one kind of jolted you or catapulted you into some realization. Let me give you another perspective. For one, you got to ask, the you that you think you are in this plane does not belong to you. It is a shared observation. It is not your possession. It's only a vehicle that you use as an infinite internal being to show up in this plane. So what you think you are and who you think you are is an observation that's shared by the collective consciousness of this planet. It is a synchronized observation. So even after you leave this observation, that observation will continue to exist. That observable point will continue to exist as the being that we may say, let's just say Malcolm X. He's no longer here. The person who walked around as Malcolm X, the person who walked around as that observation. But yet the observation still lives on beyond him. So you embody observations. Your observation of yourself is a non-local reality. It's a dimension that exists within the implicit order of the universe. You just agree with a lot of people on that observation. So after you die, you no longer see that observable point. But within the universal consciousness, that observation still exists. That's still there to be observed. Someone can reawaken themselves to that observation. So you are not yourself to die. You are the experiencer of an observation called you that other people simultaneously observe. And you can come back into that observation at any time you want. And you can leave that observation anytime you want. But that observation will continue to exist as an observable point. It doesn't really go away. It continues to exist in potential form. It continues to exist as a perceivable option in the data bank of the universal mind and universal consciousness. That page still gonna be up just because you're not on the internet. It's still there. When you decide to get back online, you can revisit that page. And what you'll find when you come back to that page is that some people are already on it. What you're calling you is an observation. Observations cannot die. And observers can take on new observations. And they can revisit old observations. Or they can stop observing. But guess what? When they decide to observe, the same amount of infinite and endless observations will continue to exist in the records and in the codes of all existence. An observation cannot die. It can only be reobserved or ignored. It will remain. An observation does not die. Some of us have become very powerful observations. We're placeholders for profound observations, enlightened observations, holy and divine observations. We embody them. Many observe. But as long as those beings are looking to observe, the observable will return into perception, into conception, and inception, and reception. I had to go in on this. So there's the you and there's the observation that you share with other people that gives you the experience of the you that you share with them. And then there's the you that may choose to observe something else. This realm is a synchronistic observation. Well, while we may perceive many different things, even on what we agree to disagree on, creates the fundamental uniformity of this plane. So by default of being here, everyone here has automatically accepted certain observations that even here exists. That is a collectively shared observation of all entities that has embodied observable points on this plane. I hope I'm not losing you. This plane will no longer exist for you when you choose to no longer observe it. But as long as you go on observing, life will go on existing. The question then becomes, will you stop observing? But just because you stop observing does not mean the infinitum of what is to be observed no longer exists. It'll be there waiting for you to observe again. Like a holographic plate waiting on light again to project holographic images. The template doesn't go anywhere. Infinity does not die. All observations exist simultaneously. All of them. We only experience the ones we choose to observe. The vantage points that we choose to look from and through. Life is observation. And when you perceive yourself not to be living, the infinitely observable just lies in a dormant place. And it's activated when entities choose to take on those vantage points of observations. You cannot die. You can only just stop observing. Nor can the observation that you consider yourself to be here die. It will always be a point of observation within infinity, within eternity. You can't remove it. It will always be there to be observed by any entity or being who would like to take on that observation. You think the observation is you. You think the observed is you. No. The observed and the observer are part of infinite reality. A part of the infinite code. A part of the fabric of infinite reality. This is King Noble Black Supremacy. Join my website, www.kingnobleuncensored.com. Subscribe to my new YouTube page, King Noble Guru. Hit the subscribe button now. Hit the like button. And also hit the bell so you can get notifications every time I put out a new video. Follow me on Instagram, King Noble Uncensored. .c.o.m. Black Supremacy.